Hey there, welcome back to another video. This time around, it is my review of the 2020 animated video game film Mortal Kombat Legends: Scorpion's Revenge. Now, this is the first of multiple Mortal Kombat animated films that were produced by Warner Brothers Animation. And when this was initially announced, I was really hyped about it because I am a really big fan of Scorpion. Scorpion is my favorite character of the Mortal Kombat franchise. So I was really pumped to see a Scorpion animated film. And the poster dropped, and it was Scorpion up front and center. It was called Scorpion's Revenge. I was like, oh man, this is going to be awesome. It's going to be a Scorpion solo movie. I can't wait. And then the trailer dropped, and so did my anticipation. Because then it was very obvious that it was not just a Scorpion solo film. And then I saw more reviews of the film when it initially did come out, and that just confirmed my biggest fears that this was just going to be another Mortal Kombat story that is just the same as all the rest for the most part. And after finally sitting down to watch the film, yeah, it is. But at the same time, there's a lot that I did actually like about this. But there's also a lot that made me disappointed by the film. Now, before I get around to sharing more of my thoughts on Mortal Kombat Legends Scorpion's Revenge, I would like to give a special shout out to Harvey for requesting this review. And if there is another film, TV show, or topic that you would like to see me discuss in the future, feel free to donate to either my PayPal, my Patreon, or my Cash App. The links to all three are in the video description down below, and I will try to get to your requests as soon as I possibly can. Now, Scorpion's Revenge is directed by Ethan Spaulding. And prior to Scorpion's Revenge, he had a lot of experience working with animation. He worked on Avatar The Last Airbender. In fact, he directed a ton of episodes of that show. He also was a producer of the Thundercats reboot in 2011. He was a co-director of Batman Assault on Arkham. He directed Son of Batman. He directed all 17 episodes of Mike Tyson Mysteries. And that experience in the realm of animation definitely did pay some dividends. And I think it helped him find the winning combination for this film, directing wise. This movie features some excellent direction to me for a direct-to-video, relatively low-budget animated film, because the movie has a genuinely epic feel to it at points, and I think the director actually pulls it off. There's some really nice usage of pan zooms and slow-mo and other types of different camera angles within the construct of animation. And the action sequences, the fight scenes, when those are up front and center and in your face, they are intense, they're violent, and the way that the director shoots them is thrilling. It's a lot of fun. He really does a good job emphasizing the bloody carnage and the insanity of these fight scenes and these action sequences that is very much Mortal Kombat. I would say that it has the same energy as a fatality move that you would see in the game. And it was just really something that you could tell that he was also having a lot of fun doing and directing these sequences and the other different action sequences throughout the film. And it really did lead to the direction being in my opinion, one of the most consistently good and effective aspects of this film, other than maybe some of the voiceover work. The script, on the other hand, by Jeremy Adams, is not as consistent, and to me, the screenplay is easily the biggest thing that holds this film back from being a gem or being great. The script is still decent enough that the movie is better than what you would normally see from a animated Mortal Kombat property. Because prior to this, you had stuff like what is it, The Legend Begins, which was horrible, and then you had the animated show that was very short lived that was also bad. So when it comes to Mortal Kombat and animation, there was really not a lot previously that was worthy of anything other than a fatality. They were definitely not what I would consider to be a flawless victory. So with this, though, the script, while it's not a flawless victory by any means, it still has a lot of good things about it. The opening, like the first like 5 to 10 minutes, which is the origin of Scorpion, which features Hanzo and what's going on with his family and his family being slaughtered by Sub Zero, at least who you think is Sub Zero, and him ultimately getting sent to what might as well be hell. It's not hell, but it might as well be considered as such. But he gets sent to the Nether Realm, and he then makes a deal with Quan Chi, and he becomes Scorpion. So all of that, like the build up, the start of the film is, in my opinion, fantastic. Actually, the stuff with Hanzo is very emotional. It's very grueling, but it's also very badass. Like the action in the first 5 to 10 minutes is visceral. It's uh, just gory as hell and quintessential Mortal Kombat. Then it starts to focus on the other characters, and then it does this whole thing where it's like, oh hey, here's Liu Kang, and here's Johnny Cage, and here's Sonya Blade, and let's have a little bit of an introduction to them, as if anybody who's a fan of these games needs an introduction to any of these characters. And it's once again set up that there's going to be another tournament, and the Shao Kahn and his fighters have won the past 9 tournaments, and if they don't win the 10th one, Shao Kahn and Shang Tsung are going to take over Earth Realm. And I'm like, what? This is literally just the same plot as the 1995 movie or any of these other Mortal Kombat adaptations. We're doing this again? We're just making this into another tournament movie? Well, why isn't it just a Scorpion solo film? That's what it's marketed as. Why is this a tournament film again? But it is. It's a tournament film again. As the main conflict is about the tournament. And there are some good things with that. I mean, I do like the dynamic that develops between Johnny Cage and Sonya Blade. Liu Kang is very underutilized though, and so is Raiden. Liu Kang has a moment though. He has a really cool fight scene. Like the only time where he actually wins a fight though. But it's a really cool scene with these mercenaries where he just kicks their asses in very crowd pleasing and memorable and violent fashion. But before that, he just loses. He gets in a fight with, I believe, Katana. Yeah, he gets in a fight with Katana, and then Katana yields. So they don't even actually fight. So he wins the fight by default, and then he winds up fighting Goro near the end of the movie and pretty much gets his butt kicked and has to be saved by Scorpion. So there's a lot of stuff involving Liu Kang that if you're a fan of his character, it kind of sucks because he doesn't really get a whole lot to do, and there's like this awesome scene with these mercenaries, but other than that, he's just either losing to Goro or winning a fight by not even fighting Katana. There's more with Johnny Cage and Sonya Blade in terms of them winning fights single-handedly or taking out their enemies than Liu Kang. Because Johnny Cage wins the fight over Baraka, Sonya Blade wins the fight over Reptile. The only other character that gets less to do is really Jax and I guess Sub-Zero, because the real Sub-Zero it only has one little fight with Scorpion that pretty much ends in a stalemate. Um, because the Sub-Zero that you thought you were seeing um, kill Hanzo's family at the start of the film is actually Quan Chi, because that was a twist that was revealed later on in the story. You still have, Kano, and you have Shang Tsung, and Goro, like I mentioned, but there's a lot of characters though who are there but don't really have a whole lot to do, or if they do things, it seems like they could do more. And I will give the script this. It does provide Scorpion with a lot of badass scenes. Scorpion has a lot of fights in this, and the big fight at the end is between him and Quan Chi, and it's pretty epic, and it's awesome. And the way that he defeats Quan Chi is something that definitely makes you want to go fuck yeah, by the end, because of uh how well he winds up beating Quan Chi's ass. But there's a lot about the script though that just feels generic. It feels played out. It feels like, oh yeah, all right, it's a tournament fighting film again. It's all about the tournament. And I just would have liked it a lot more if it was focused on Scorpion and his story. But there are some other good things other than, the action and the stuff with Scorpion. Because, like I said, I do like the dynamic between Johnny Cage and Sonya Blade, and there's some good lines of dialogue from Johnny and even from Sonya. There's a line from her that I think if the line was said differently, and the voice actress, I think it's Jennifer Carpenter, like if she didn't sell it, this could be cringe. But I thought it was actually pretty awesome, pretty badass. Where Sonya's like, "Fuck with the blade, you're gonna get cut." Like I just like that line. It's a fun one liner. And there's just some good banter between Johnny and Sonya throughout uh, the script. And Johnny definitely gets the biggest laughs when it comes to his lines. Stuff like "This better not go straight to video," which is like a meta reference to the straight to video Mortal Kombat animated movie. But there are some moments, even with Johnny, though, where some of the jokes are kind of not really that funny. And I do feel that there are other characters that the dialogue they're given is just kind of bland. Despite the fact that there are some good things, there are some strong elements. um, of Scorpion's Revenge when it comes to its script, it is ultimately let down by the fact that it really is just another generic kind of been there, done that Mortal Kombat story. And it's not even the full story because it's setting up for another installment. And this whole setting things up for another installment concept to me is not necessarily the worst idea, but the way that it's executed just feels like it's not necessarily the best way to go about things. Like, I really think that if it was a standalone solo Scorpion story, and then you set things up for a standalone Liu Kang movie for the next film, and then after that, a standalone Sonya Blade film or a standalone Johnny Cage movie, that would be better. And I mean, this even happened with the last film in the series so far, which was Cage Match, which was a Johnny Cage movie. So I'm like, okay, so you were willing to do that and make a Johnny Cage film, but you couldn't make a Scorpion solo film. Instead, you had to make a film that's like part Scorpion story and Scorpion's Revenge, and then part generic Mortal Kombat tournament fighting movie with Sonya Blade and Johnny Cage and Liu Kang and Raiden and introducing all the characters and them going up against Shang Tsung and Goro and Reptile and Kano. And I don't really get the thought process. Because the Scorpion solo film would have been so much better, and the fans would have liked that a lot more too. The fans still were receptive to this because I mean the fight scenes and the action in this is awesome. It's really a lot of fun to watch these gory hyper violent action sequences and actually see some genuine Mortal Kombat violence, for the most part, fully realized in a film. Even if it is just animation, it's still something that's really nice to see. But it would have been even better if it was a Scorpion solo film and it was all about him initially trying to find Sub Zero, and maybe he and Sub Zero get into a fight with one another, and Scorpion is about to deliver the killing blow to Sub Zero, but then Sub Zero reveals the truth that he had nothing to do with the death of Hanzo's family. So then Hanzo uh, turns his anger and focuses his vengeance upon Quan Chi. And then he finds where Quan Chi's fortress is, and he winds up taking down all of Quan Chi's army, and then takes down Quan Chi himself at the end of the movie. And then maybe it'll have this sort of set up at the end where you think Scorpion is a goner because the fortress collapsed on top of him, but then the last shot is Scorpion smashing his fist out of the rubble. And then maybe you can have a little bit of a connection every now and then with the plot with Liu Kang, but very limited, just to introduce his character. So then you can kind of set up the spin-off, or not, just focus it primarily on Scorpion's story, because these films are for already diehard fans of the franchise. I don't think these films are necessarily intended to be for people who don't know about these characters and don't know about Mortal Kombat. So you could just make a Scorpion solo film and it's just Hanzo's story and that's it. And then do the same for the other films in the series until you build up to a tournament movie after having all of these solo films with all of these other characters, like an Avengers setup, like the MCU did and did very successfully. But instead, let's just try to build a foundation in one movie that's very flimsy and also try to do half a Scorpion solo film. And as a result, you don't get as good of a Scorpion solo movie, and you don't get as good of a tournament fighting film either when it comes to this screenplay. The voice cast, though, did a great job all around. Like, I think Patrick Sietz is genuinely stellar as Hanzo, as Scorpion. I thought he was really good. Did a great job embodying the overall um, personality of Scorpion. And Jordan Rodrigues was fine too as Liu Kang, but I can't say a whole lot about him because his character doesn't really have a lot to do most of the time or that many lines. Same thing goes for Dave B. Mitchell, who voices Raiden. Joel McHale, though, as Johnny Cage, he was an out of the box casting choice. Like, I wouldn't necessarily think he would be the best Johnny Cage, but he did a really good job, and I was very surprised by it. And his snarkiness really lent itself well to Johnny, and I actually really liked his voiceover as Johnny. And I also really like Jennifer Carpenter as Sonia. Honestly, I think Jennifer Carpenter's voiceover work for Sonia is the best that I've honestly heard when it comes to this character. Even better than Bridget Wilson from the 1995 film and other versions of this character. Like, she did a really awesome job. And Ike Amati was fine too as Jax. Same thing goes for Robin Atkin Downs, who reminded me a lot of Kano from the 95 film. And speaking of the 95 film, Kevin Michael Richardson, who voiced Goro in that movie, he voices Goro again, which I thought that was pretty cool. The other voiceover actors and actresses that are worth mentioning, like Greg Griffin voices Katana, but she only has like one scene. Steve Blum voices Sub Zero, does a good job, but he's also not in it a lot. Darin DePaul voices Quan Chi, and he does a good job voicing this scummy character. So does Art Butler, who voices Shang Tsung. And yeah, I would say voiceover wise, I do feel that Scorpion's Revenge definitely found the right combination of voiceover actors. And I think that that is also another aspect of this movie that works quite well. So does the editing by Robert Ehrenreich, and at points the music, but not consistently enough. Like the music by John Jennings Boyd and Eric V. Hatchikin. Uh, the music at points is a good addition to the fights and to the violence, and helps elevate the fight scenes. But at other times, the music is kind of generic and kind of bland sounding, and it definitely really needed some of the same energy as the score from the 1995 film. And I'm honestly surprised you didn't have like a remix of that music for this animated film. Like the fact that I didn't hear the Mortal Kombat theme was a little surprising, to be honest. You didn't hear you didn't hear like a remix or anything, like a guitar version. You didn't hear anything like that, and I felt like that was really kind of strange. Because when you think Mortal Kombat, you think of Mortal Kombat music, and you don't really hear a lot of the Mortal Kombat music in this Mortal Kombat movie. The music that is there, it's fine, but it's not what you would really expect or what you are necessarily wanting to hear from a Mortal Kombat film. The quality of the animation, I felt it was pretty good. I didn't think there was a lot of moments animation wise where it looked very cheap. Um, but it definitely has the same kind of animation style as a lot of the other DC animated films that Warner Brothers did at the same time. But I think the style still works with Mortal Kombat. And I think there was a lot of inventive stuff that they did with the animation, especially when it comes to what you could consider to be a fatality or the various different scenes where different characters are violently subduing and destroying their enemies. And overall, I would say if you are a fan of Mortal Kombat, you've probably already seen this more than once. But if for whatever reason you haven't seen this yet, I definitely do think it's worth watching. I think that there is a lot of fun that you can have with this in terms of the action and the violence. Uh, but at the same time, it is also something that really leaves you wanting more and wanting something that you didn't ultimately get, which was a Scorpion solo film. But hey, that's just my thoughts on Mortal Kombat Legends, Scorpion's Revenge. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later. See ya.